guys, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. I'm starting to get ready to pot up all of these orchids for the spring. As of right now, it is February 18th. I would love to get everything done by the beginning of April, hopefully. And as you can see, I have a lot of orchids and I actually have some new additions over here, which are some Hoyas that I got. I've been downsizing my collection a little bit, getting rid of some of my very large oncidiums and some of my catasetum orchids, just because they get enormous for me. And someone actually gave me a bunch of their Hoyas. So thank you for sending me these Hoyas, guys. So with that said, I am just prioritizing my very favorite orchids and plants that I really, really love. And I'm downsizing some of my bigger oncidium types. On the bottom left, you'll see some of my oncidiums. Those are some of my favorite ones. Anyway, I wanted to do a little update video as I start to repot my orchids. I just ordered a bunch of pots and I repotted a lot of these guys last spring. So a lot of these were repotted last March, April, and May. And they're already outgrowing their pots. So let me quickly show you some of the orchids that I'm going to have to repot less than a year later. And then I'm going to start by getting my Leca cleaned. So I have some pots coming in a couple of days. So I want to make sure I can get started right away on potting everything up. And I will keep you guys updated as I start to update this collection and get everything into its new pots. So these are two cattleyas that I have in semi-hydro. The one to the right is one of the seedlings that I got from Sunset Valley Orchids. That's my BLC Poella spots. That one's growing exceptionally well. This is the third time it blooms. It's one of the few to bloom from that haul. But otherwise, I've potted most of them up in this cup, maybe about 3-inch diameter. And they've grown really, really quickly. So I want to get them into bigger pots before they outgrow it. So as you can see, this one's doing really, really well. And here are the buds. It should be open in the next few days. So hopefully in my next monthly bloom update, you will see it again. It looks like it's about to burst. Now this one has been in bloom for over a month now. This one is the Hawaiian Charisma Hawaii. This one I got from Carmela Orchids. This is the one that smells like lemon sherbet. I repotted this orchid probably this was last March. I'll put a video up of my original repot. It had some unruly orchids, so I transitioned it from organic to semi-hydro. And look, it's going to outgrow this pot. It has a new growth that's going to start coming in, grow outside, so I don't think it's going to last very long. And the orchids that I put into the setup, I put them all into a 5-inch pot, into a mask that will hold it, and I don't think it's gonna last very long. So I'm gonna upsize these pots. I got some 7-inch pots from Amazon. It's insane how much the price of self-watering pots has gone up. It's really crazy. Just from last year to this year, I was looking at the price differences, and yeah, I'm on the verge of just buying some deli containers and just growing them that way, similar to the way I'm growing that one in a cup. But anyway, I had a gift card, so I bought about 10 different self-watering pots. So I'm gonna put these guys in a 7-inch self-watering pot, and I had some Tea4You self-watering pots in 6 and 7-inch. So I'll probably put that one in a 6-inch pot, and I will walk you guys through the process as I'm updating the grow space and repotting everything. As you guys know, I grow mostly semi-hydro. All of my cattleyas I want to transition, if they're not already, into semi-hydro because they grow really well in that system. Same with the dendrobiums, but I keep all of my Phalaenopsis types in moss, all of these summer bloomers, that is. My complex hybrids are fine in semi-hydro. But I will be repotting my cattleyas and dendrobiums into semi-hydro and then updating the moss on my Phalaenopsis. But first things first, before we get all our pots ready, I'm going to start cleaning some of the Leca that I have that's from some other repots. So we'll start cleaning that and then cleaning a new bag of Leca. That way, when we have the pots, they'll be ready to go. So let me grab that Leca and we'll get started. So here's my container of dirty Leca. It's been sitting in here for a couple of weeks, so I got to get a move on this. We have Leca. We've got some old roots here. I've been sitting on this for a while. But basically, this is Leca from my Oncidium raspberry chocolate. I actually gave it away because it was so large. I really love the orchid, but I just decided that I have my Heaven Sent Sweet Baby. It was one of my favorites, but I just have other Shari Baby types that have been growing and they're just all getting too big on me. So I've decided just to downsize and give it to people who really, really have been looking for those orchids, and I think it'll bring them joy. But anyway, this is Leca from my Dendrobium Buttercup. If you guys remember, that orchid had some issues. It had some leaf spotting on it, and no matter what I did, the new growths would just keep getting that leaf spotting. And I think it's because it's such a hot grower. And that's the feedback that I got from a lot of folks that grow it. It's an issue with the hybrid itself. So I decided to throw it away. I usually don't throw plants away, but as you guys recall, I had a thrips infestation in my collection early last month, and I had to treat the collection. Buttercup had the most thrips out of anything, so I was just like, you know what? If it's a pest magnet, I'm just going to get rid of it. So that's this Leca. So what I'm going to do is, as I'm getting ready to start repotting everything, let me clean this Leca here. I'll walk you through how I take care of all of that. And then I'm going to take the new bag of Leca. I have a 25-liter bag of Leca. I'll start cleaning that up. And then we'll start repotting these orchids as I get those pots. So this is going to be a series of videos as I'm... this will be a little bit less structured. I'm just going to walk you through my repotting of my orchids into moss and into Leca. And I'll just talk to you about I'll walk you through my repottings and just talk you through my thought process as I'm growing these orchids and my experience with them. So let's start by separating this Leca and we'll come back to sterilize it. So this is gonna take me a while, and my cat is gonna be so interested in jumping on the table. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the little pieces of pumice out, and that stuff will probably just fall to the bottom. And then we'll separate the Leca, we'll separate the stones, and we'll separate the pumice, and then we can boil everything. So I'm gonna fast forward as I remove everything, and then come back with everything all separated out. And my cat just arrived just in time so that she could start playing with the Leca. So she loves this stuff. So I'm just gonna, this is gonna be a little, but it's not a big deal. I mean, I guess technically I could remove the Leca first, but I think I'll take the Leca out and everything else will fall to the bottom. It is 2:09. I'll be back when all of this is all done. It is 2:36 and I just finished separating the Leca. I started separating the pumice, these little stones, and these river stones. This is what we've got left. So I was gonna separate everything out and then wash the pumice. It's inorganic, so you can reuse it just like Leca. But separating those little stones from the pumice proved to be very difficult. Getting the Leca out was kind of easy because if I shook this, all these little particles settled to the bottom. So it was very easy to get the Leca out. So I might just get rid of it. I do have a bag of it. I don't use it often, and I did not find a difference in the orchids that I used it in. These little stones I started separating and saving, but when I used it as a top layer, I noticed instead of really helping, they would fall into the little cracks and the Leca would be exposed anyway. So I don't think I'm gonna be using them. So at this point, I'm just taking out any little pieces of Leca that I find. The ones that are left are the smallest pieces. I'm gonna take out any Leca, and I think I'm just gonna get rid of this. I think it's just gonna be a long time to separate that stuff out, and I don't really wanna use it again. So I'm gonna chuck this. I did separate the roots that came in the pot, and then when I unpotted some of those orchids, they were wet, and I took out look at this cat. She just wants to play with that Leca. Hello. She's trying to sneak. Hey, get your hand back. So when she's so ridiculous. So when I started, when I unpotted these orchids, they were still moist. So I was able to get roots out. And when I saw roots, I took them off because I knew it would be a challenge when they dried off. There are a couple of little roots here. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to soak this overnight and then make sure that this is all saturated, and then I'll boil it. I don't know what happens if I boil it, if it'll just saturate by default or what, but I want to make sure that any of the roots that are left over, that they float to the top, that this all gets saturated, and then when I boil, I'll completely clean. What are you doing? Don't eat that. This cat is insane. She really loves this stuff, and I can't have it near her. She plays with it like it's a little toy. You have litter on your nose. There you go. Well, guys, let me go rinse this out. I think I'm going to chuck this. I'm going to keep this. These river rocks are very important, but the little ones for me, they didn't add any value. They just fell right through the pot, and they just, you know, I don't know. Maybe it'll do well with soil, but not with Leca. They just fall right through. So maybe for my succulents, I don't know. But I don't want to separate this out. It's not that much. Just a little bit. But that's just how I feel. I didn't really like any of those products on my orchids. Well, anyway, guys, I'm going to soak this, and I'm going to come back once it's been soaked for a while. I'm going to boil this, and we'll sterilize all of this Leca. Alrighty, guys, so this has been soaking here for a couple of hours. I started removing some of the pieces of root that I found. There wasn't too much, so it wasn't too bad. But I'm going to boil this for about half an hour to sterilize it. I'm going to use a pot that I don't use to eat. I'll use a pot just for this. I notice whenever I boil Leca, it leaves a film that I don't like, and I don't want to eat that. So we have a special pot for this stuff. So I'm going to boil it up for half an hour. I'm also going to sterilize this container since this dirty Leca was in it. So we don't want to reintroduce any bacteria or anything that's in there. The Dendrobium buttercup, I suspect, could be sick. Could have been sick, that is. So we don't want to take our sterilized Leca after this has been boiled and put it back into this dirty container. So we'll clean this out really well. We'll boil this up, and we will come back with another video of when I actually start repotting these guys. So this is my dirty Leca. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to open that new bag of Leca, clean it up in batches, and then once I get those pots later in the weekend, I will start repotting with you guys, and you'll follow along on my repotting saga. I've got just under 200 orchids, so it's going to be quite a lot of work. So you guys will follow along as I prepare and get it all done. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more orchid content. See you guys soon. Bye.